And here is a brief introduction to Actera. If you don't know much about us, we are a nonprofit organization based in Palo Alto with a mission to bring people together to create local solutions for a healthy planet. Our organization was formed in 1970 on the first Earth Day, and our focus is in addressing climate change while advancing equity. And we serve the 9 counties around the San Francisco Bay Area. And our objective for tonight's event is to inspire, inform, and support residents who are on tight budgets to be able to afford electric vehicles. And here is going to be the agenda for tonight. We'll start off by talking about the many benefits of driving an electric vehicle, and then we'll highlight the incentives that can help make electric vehicles more affordable for you. Then we'll get into the post survey and then the question and answer session at the very end. And I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor for tonight, the City of Sunnyvale. They enable us to bring these workshops to you all. And to kick us off, we're going to have Roya from the City of Sunnyvale join us now to talk a little bit about what the city has going on.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Like Urban said, I'm Roya Samani. I'm an environmental program specialist with the City of Sunnyvale. Tonight, we're going to hear about the many financial assistance programs available to help you switch to an EV. But currently, almost half of the greenhouse gas emissions in Sunnyvale are from transportation. The City of Sunnyvale has created the Sunnyvale Drive Electric program, which this webinar is a part of. The program supports our climate action playbook target goals to reach our emission reduction targets. The percent of people choosing to drive electric is increasing every year, which is great, but we still need to get it up there. To help our community members make the transition easier, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, also known as SVCE, has a suite of resources for you. I'd like to highlight one of them here. It's SVCE's EV Assistant. It's a great online tool to help you find your next car, check on incentives and savings, and learn about charging locations in your area, or even learn about installing a charger at home. That link is in the chat for you all. Next slide. We'd also like to invite you to our next EV event. Our EV Ride and Drive in-person events are from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The first one's on Saturday, March 16th at the Sunnyvale Community Center, and the second one is on Saturday, May 18th at Baylands Park. Our Ride and Drive events are a great way to learn about the variety of EV models. You can take them for a test drive, and then you get to grab a bite to eat from our complimentary on-site food truck after your ride. You'll be able to play a scavenger hunt game with the display vehicles, and you can learn about sustainability at our booths and also take an e-bike for a spin if you'd like. To save your test drive slot, you can register RSVP by visiting the Sunnyvale Drive Electric webpage. That's also linked in the chat, or you can scan the QR code on screen, and we hope to see you there. And we also hope that tonight's event will support and encourage you all to make the switch to an EV, and I'll pass it back to Irvin.
Great, thank you, Roya. Make sure you guys take advantage of that EV Ride and Drive. It's a great opportunity if you guys are seriously considering buying an electric vehicle. Try the one that you like out. Maybe it'll persuade you even more. Great, thank you. Thank you to Sunnyvale again. And now let's get into learning more about the benefits of switching to driving electric. So first, I want to look at the type of vehicles that you have to purchase in order to qualify for those incentives. And so the first one is a plug-in hybrid. This type of electric vehicle is still using gasoline, but it can switch between using both. So for this type of vehicle, you still need to recharge the battery when it dies. You need an electricity source like a normal 120-volt outlet, a level 2 charger, or a public charger. And so these vehicles typically have 20 to 40 miles of electricity range, and then they'll switch over to using the rest in gas, which is typically like the normal 300 miles. And then we have the 100% electric car, which is powered by only an electric motor. And it uses its energy stored in the rechargeable batteries. You'll have to recharge it with an electricity source again, the 120-volt outlet, a level 2 charger, or a DC fast charger. And then purchasing this type of electric vehicle sometimes gives you more money than the plug-in hybrids for some of the incentives available. And I'll get more into detail when we cover those programs. So how do you decide which type of electric vehicle is right for you? Is it going to be the 100% electric, or is it a plug-in hybrid? So you can answer these two yes or no questions in order to determine which one is better for you. Question one is, do I have an outlet in my garage or parking spot that I can use to charge my electric vehicle? Or does my workplace provide EV charging? Yes or no? And then question number two is, do I drive less than 50 miles per day? And if you answered yes to both of these questions, then a 100% electric vehicle is going to be able to meet your needs. If you answered no to any of these questions, then maybe a plug-in hybrid is a little bit better for you. But at the end of the day, it's all just depends on your individual needs. This is just based on recommendation. And so, what are the benefits of driving an electric vehicle? There are so many reasons, and we'll get into some of the most compelling benefits. The first reason is for cleaner air and healthier communities. There would be a big difference in air quality if everyone started taking cleaner methods of transportation. EVs are healthier for people and the planet. Because of the pollutants that come out of a car's tailpipe, they're very harmful to our health. In humans, pollution from cars causes many health issues, including stroke, heart disease, lung cancer, asthma, and other respiratory diseases. And the pollutants that come out of a passenger car are listed to the left there. And so the good news is that switching to an electric vehicle means you are not polluting the air anymore. There is also less carbon emissions tied to owning an EV than a gas car. When driving an electric vehicle, you are saving 7,500 pounds of carbon dioxide every year from entering the atmosphere. Over a 10-year period, that is 75,000 pounds of carbon dioxide that you as an individual are saving from being entered into the atmosphere. And so just imagine if everyone drove an electric vehicle here in the Bay Area, we would be able to experience clean air and the blue sky regularly, because that drastically reduces the air pollution and its harmful effects on our communities. Benefit number two of driving electric is that it can help keep a more stable climate. Carbon dioxide is created from burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas. And it's one of the leading contributors to climate change. As you can see from this slide, transportation accounts for around 40% of California's carbon emissions. And here in Silicon Valley, transportation accounts for over 60% of our emissions. This is why Actera believes switching to using clean transportation, such as an electric vehicle, is one of the single most important things an individual can do to help fight against the climate crisis. And the third benefit of switching to driving electric is going to be the cost savings and the carpool access. And so there are three ways in which you will be able to save money as an EV owner. The first is that EVs cost less to fuel up or to recharge. And if you charge at home, electricity is only going to be a third of the price of gas. And a Consumer Report study found that the average electric vehicle driver in California is going to save around $1,000 a year in fuel costs, which is going to add up over the many years that you're going to own an electric vehicle. The second way to save money is with the lower maintenance cost. EVs have 10 times fewer moving pieces under the hood. And so EV drivers are not going to have to fix or replace the fuel injectors, have to go get an oil change, the radiators, the spark plugs, and there's not going to be any more smog checks. Consumer Reports magazine also recently confirmed that EV owners spend half as much on maintenance than gas car owners do over the lifetime of their cars. And so a person with a gas car would spend around $9,200 on their car versus a person with an EV would spend half as much, $4,600. And you can also save some time with a clean air vehicle decal that are exclusive to EV drivers. And this sticker allows a single passenger to drive in the carpool lane during the rush hour traffic. And so all new battery electric vehicles and the plug-in hybrids qualify for this clean air vehicle decal. Um, but if you also purchased a used electric vehicle that already had the sticker, you can ask for an extension from the DMV if you fall under specific income thresholds. Um, and you can apply for this clean vehicle decal with the DMV. Um, there was recently a change in this program, and it's going to end starting September 2025. So if you buy an electric vehicle this year, you'll get to experience driving in the carpool lane as a single passenger for basically a whole year. And then with that clean air vehicle decal, you'll also be able to save money when you cross some of the Bay Area bridges that we have. It'll be $3.50 instead of the regular $7. So you get half off. And finally, the fourth benefit of electric vehicles is that they are really fun and easy to drive. EVs are fun to drive because they have fast acceleration due to their instant torque and the dual motors. They're a really smooth and quiet drive. There's no more vibration from an engine because it has only an electric motor. And, if you can test drive some of these EVs to find out for yourself just how fun they are, or you can come to one of our EV expos and ask our EV ambassadors how their experience of driving an EV is. And so charging your car at home is more convenient than having to go to a gas station. You can just plug your car overnight like you do with your cell phone, and then you're going to be ready to leave the next morning with your car fully charged and ready to go. Also, many workplaces, retailers, and city governments are starting to provide level 2 and DC fast charging stations for their employees and the general public. And we have three different types of charging levels. Level 1 is charging with a normal outlet or 120 volt. This charges around 45 miles overnight. It's pretty slow, but if you drive less than 40 miles a day, you will be good to go. A level 2 charger requires a 240 volt outlet, like the one that most of our clothes dryers use, this one here. They are much faster at charging, around 25 miles every hour. And so that's around 200 miles of charge every night. So installing a level 2 charger in your home could mean some extra cost. When you hire an electrician to install a 240 volt outlet, um, they might have to upgrade your panel with some more amps, but it always depends on the specific situation of how much the cost could be. I think on average, it's around $2,000 to install a level 2 charger. And then finally, we have the DC fast charging. This is the fastest type of charging we have available. It uses 480 volts and even more sometimes. It can charge 130 to 200 miles every hour. And you would use these fast chargers when you travel cross country or you live in an apartment, so you want to get like a faster charge. And there are more and more charging stations that are being implemented everywhere in the US, and there are more on the way. Yeah, this covers the basics of EV charging. I wanted to highlight this new PG&E charging program called EV Empower. It's really helpful for those low-income homeowners who are trying to install a level 2 charger on your property. So it's accepting applications. This program is going to cover $500 for the purchase of the level 2 charger itself, and then they can cover up to $2,000 for the electrician cost. And this is a program that would require income eligibility again. So I left a chart here on the right. And as a quick reminder, I will provide everyone who registered for this event with a PDF copy of my slide deck. So in case you missed something in the presentation, you can go back and take a look for yourself. And there are also other charging rebates that might be available in your city. When I send you guys the follow-up email next week, I will send you guys some more resources to be able to check out those EV charger rebates. Maybe something I missed. And so if you live in an apartment, these are some viable options to meet your charging needs. There are some smart outlets that your apartment complex can provide for their residents, like the PlugZIO or the Go Power EV. And this allows residents to be able to charge with a level 1 charger while still being able to track how much electricity they're consuming. And they'll charge you a fee for that electricity usage. Then there's also a concierge service currently. They will come to wherever you are to charge your electric vehicle. And there's also so many public charging stations available everywhere in the Bay Area. I would recommend to download the app called PlugShare. This will show you all of the charging locations in the Bay Area. Even in the US, there's so many. And it'll show you how much the charge, which ones are available in that area, and the cost associated with that charging station. And just remember, if you're charging from home, that PG&E uses a time of use pricing in order to minimize the use of fossil fuel power plants. So this, of course, encourages people to power down from 4 to 9. And so if you charge from home, remember to not charge during those hours, or else the electricity is going to be a little bit more expensive. So electricity is cheaper when you charge your car overnight, in the morning, or until early afternoon. And so just avoid charging from 4 to 9 to help fight climate change. And the good news is that you can make your next car electric with some patience, some resourcefulness, and the financial incentives that can help reduce the purchase cost. And now let's dive into those local and state incentives that can help you make an EV more affordable. We'll start off by talking about the new car purchases. If anyone here is considering purchasing a new electric vehicle, this rebate is going to be for you. Here we have the new clean vehicle credit, or better known as the electric vehicle tax credit. This can reduce your federal income taxes by up to $7,500 when you purchase a new electric vehicle. You can apply this credit to the taxes that you file the year after you purchase your electric vehicle. Or you can also take the clean vehicle tax credit and pass it on to the dealership, which will then be able to pass it on to you as a point of sale discount for up to $7,500. This means we will no longer have to wait until the following year when we do our taxes to receive this tax credit, and you'll be able to receive it at the time of purchase as a discount from the dealership. And here are some of the rules for that tax credit. The buyer's adjusted gross income cannot be more than $150,000 for a single filer, cannot be more than $225,000 for the head of household, or $300,000 for joint filers. The electric vehicle must have final assembly in North America. So this typically excludes all of the Japanese and Korean electric vehicles, like the Kia, the Hyundais. And then the electric vehicle must not cost more than $55,000 if it's classified as a car, or no more than $80,000 if it's classified as an SUV, a van, or a truck. And then there's also some battery and mineral requirements that are in effect. And so when we look at the fueleconomy.gov website, which the IRS recommends that you look at, we have the vehicles that qualify for the full $7,500 tax credit. There's only a few right now. There's the F-150 Lightning, the 2023 or 2024 Tesla Model 3, as well as the Tesla Model Y. They also had the Tesla Model X on there. Just forgot to add it on here. They have the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid, the Volkswagen ID4, and the Chevrolet Bolt EV and EUV. And for the vehicles that qualify for half of the tax credit, the $3,750, they have the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, the Jeep Grand Cherokee plug-in hybrid, the Jeep Wrangler plug-in hybrid, the Rivian R1S and R1T, and the Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring. And so when we look at an example of how much an electric vehicle costs, those newer and larger EVs that are coming to the market, they're coming costing around $40,000 to $50,000 before the incentives, but there are also many affordable options that are coming under the $40,000 mark before the incentives, and they'll considerably drop the price when you apply those incentives. And so we can take the new 2023 Chevy Bolt as an example. This Bolt has a range of 259 miles on its battery, and brand new it costs $26,500. So when we apply the clean vehicle tax credit, the price comes out to $19,000. So you're saving $7,500 on a new EV. And so now let's go into talking about the incentives that are available for when you purchase a used electric vehicle. So the same thing with the clean vehicle tax credit before. Buyers will now be able to claim up to a $4,000 tax credit for purchasing a used electric vehicle. The EV you buy must be at least 2 model years old, and the sales price cannot exceed $25,000. So you have to find a car that costs less than $25,000. The income limitations for the buyer is you have to make less than $75,000 if you're a single filer, less than $112,500 for head of household, and less than $150,000 if you are filing joint. And again, the buyer can elect to transfer the credit to the dealership, which will enable you to receive that credit as a discount at the point of sale. So $4,000 discount from the dealership. And then moving on to the PG&E used EV rebate. This one gives you a $1,000 rebate to anyone who purchases a used EV. You must be a PG&E electricity customer. And then if you are an income qualifying resident, you can get an increased rebate of $4,000. This rebate is new from PG&E and helps people who wants to buy a less expensive EV, which is used. And then now I move on to the Peninsula Clean Energy used EV rebate. And so if you live in San Mateo County or the city of Los Banos and you income qualify under this table, so less than 150,000 for if you're filing married or joint, if you are less than 112,500 for head of households, and less than 75,000 for every other tax filer, single I think as well, you would qualify for this incentive. And so the incentive is if you are eligible with the income limitations I said before, you can receive up to $2,000 towards the cost of a used electric vehicle. And so this is a great rebate program that is offered by Peninsula Clean Energy to their customers. You must live in their service territory, again, San Mateo County or the city of Los Banos. And so now we can discuss a grant program for Bay Area and California residents who meet certain income qualifications. And this program can also be used to buy a new or a used electric vehicle. And that grant is the Clean Cars for All program. This is special because it's a special kind of program because you have to turn in an old gas car in order to buy the cleaner mobility option. So it could be an electric vehicle if you desire. Your income location, your household location and the type of vehicle you choose is going to determine the amount of money you can receive from this program. The lowest you can get for retiring your old car is $7,000, and the most you can receive is $12,000. And the Clean Cars for All grant is launching their new program and will be open for applications starting March 1st. So with the new program, they will start including 2007 and older cars that you can retire, and it'll be open to all of the Bay Area. Before it was only open to certain zip codes, and now they're opening it up to the Bay Area. As long as the vehicle you're retiring has been registered under the applicant's name, it's been operational in California for the past 2 years, and it's under 10,000 pounds, they will take it. And the income limit for this program is less than 300% of the federal poverty level. So for a single person, that is 45,180 a year. For a family of three, that's less than 77,460. And so if you fall under these income guidelines and you have a 2007 car or older to retire, you are eligible for this program, and I would recommend that you apply. It's one of the most generous programs on here. On the bottom, as you can see, these are the amounts that you can qualify for. This is the only program that allows you to get some money when you buy a conventional hybrid. That's $7,000 for a conventional hybrid. And then you'll be able to get $9,500 for a plug-in hybrid, $10,000 for a 100% battery electric, and also for a fuel cell if you desire. And then there's also a mobility option. That means an e-bike. They can give you $7,500. And then there's also going to be an increased grant for those individuals that live in a disadvantaged community. And in order to find out if you live in a disadvantaged community, I will drop a link in the chat that you can use. It's a great tool. It's called CARB. It's a CARB map from CARB. Sorry. And so you just enter your home address on this bar here. It'll pin you on the map. There's different colors on there. If you are in these in this color right here, then it'll say you're in a disadvantaged community and you'll be eligible for the increased grant from Clean Cars for All. Now let's put this into an example of how much you can save when you combine those grants that we just discussed. We have here a good example, a 2020 Chevy Bolt. This car on the used car market right now costs around $15,500. It has a range of 238 miles. So when you combine this with the Clean Cars for All grant, the Peninsula Clean Energy rebate, and the PG&E used EV rebate, you're getting a total discount of $16,000. And so you're going to get this 2020 Chevy Bolt for free, basically, and you're going to be able to keep $500, whether you use that for, the loan you took out or to use it for public charging. You can use it for whatever you want. And so this isn't including the federal tax credit, which could also be an additional $4,000 discount. So there is potentially more money to be pocketed here. Remember that you have to trade in an older car to qualify for the Clean Cars for All program. And the Peninsula Clean Energy program, you must live in San Mateo County and the city of Los Banos. And you have to qualify, you have to income qualify for some of these programs. And so also a part of the Clean Cars for All program that I mentioned is being able to trade in your old car for a new e-bike. And so electric bicycles are a clean form of transportation, and it's becoming more popular. Qualifying Bay Area residents will be able to retire their old 2007 car for a $7,500 grant to purchase an e-bike. Electric bikes, if you don't know, has a battery and an electric motor that make it easier to go longer distances, carry heavier loads, and climb those steep hills with ease. And so there's also another incentive available if you live in Contra Costa County. You can sign up with 511 Contra Costa, and you can receive $500 rebate towards the purchase of an e-bike. Ride and Drive Clean right now has a discount of up to $400 with their partner Rad Power Bikes. And California is right now launching a program that will allow low-income residents to receive a grant of up to $2,000 for an e-bike. And moving on to the last incentive currently available is the MCE Instant Rebate EV program. This is for residents living in the MCE Clean Energy Service Territory. So if you live in one of these North or East Bay cities, you may qualify for their EV grant. So if you live in Contra Costa County, Marin County, Napa County, and Solano County, or any of those cities in there, you would be able to qualify. We look at their income chart because, again, you have to income qualify for this. Here are those guidelines. For a single person, less than 58,320. For a family of four, it's less than 100. You all combined must make less than 120,000. And so if you do income qualify, you live in their territory, you'll be able to receive $3,500 toward the cost of a new electric vehicle. And they also have a rebate if you want to buy a used electric vehicle. They'll be able to give you $2,000. And these rebates, I would call it more of like an instant rebate because they are as a discount from the dealership. So when you go and buy your EV from the dealership, you won't have to wait. They'll give it to you as a discount. Right. So right now, those are all of the incentives. And if you're wondering what is the next step, one of the things you can do is request a free one-on-one consultation with Actera, and we'll be able to help you identify which rebate programs you specifically qualify for. We create a personalized action plan with a plan that you can map out the steps that you need to take in order to get these incentives. So you'll be able to request a consultation when you complete our post survey. At the end of this event, we'll link it, or you can also find it on our website, actera.org. Here is a good example of someone who bought an electric vehicle with our help. Her name is Henrietta Burrows. She got a Chevy Bolt, and she said, I found out for myself what a life-changing experience an electric vehicle can be. And so we're going to drop the link in the chat to the post survey. We'll also send you the post survey in the follow-up email that will go out next week. So you don't have to take it right now if you don't want to, but we appreciate the people who do take it. Leave us some valuable feedback, like what we can improve on or what we did good, maybe not so good. Remember to request your free consultation on there or on our website if you would like. Before we get into the question and answer session, I want to invite you guys to Actera's annual Promise to the Planet event. We're doing it in person this year at the Cooley Landing Education Center in East Palo Alto. We'll have many great speakers there, and we're going to have an EV expo where you can ask questions to those real EV owners displaying their electric vehicles. And so please join us on Thursday, March 21st from 5 to 7:30. I will drop a link in the chat, or you can also go to actera.org/events to register. Now I will let you all come off of mute if you desire and ask any questions. But first, let me go through the chat and see if any questions got unanswered. Doug asked how many years is the HOV sticker valid for? I mean, if you got the HOV sticker in the past, it was valid for up to 4 years, but the program is ending September of 2025, so you only have until then to use it. Will the tax credit of $7,500 be coming for the new 2024 Tesla Model 3? Yes. Right now, it's on the fueleconomy.gov website that the 2024 Tesla Model 3 does qualify for the full tax incentive. You'll just have to, on the fueleconomy.gov website, it says to always verify with the dealership because maybe some specific vehicle didn't meet the battery requirements. So you'll just have to check that with the VIN number at the dealership. It sometimes could vary that not all Tesla Model 3s qualify, but for the most part, yes, it'll qualify for the full 7,500. And when you say income, do you mean adjusted gross income? Yes, I believe it's adjusted gross income, unless I specifically said modified adjusted gross income. But it's typically the bigger number. Is the Jerry Ann asks, is the PG&E $1,000 rebate for a used electric vehicle income based? No. So PG&E has a program for those who income qualify, and those who don't income qualify, they'll also be able to give you some money. And so it's a little bit lower for those who don't income qualify. It's $1,000 to anyone who's a PG&E customer and buys a used electric vehicle. And then if you do income qualify and you are a PG&E customer, you can get up to $4,000 off of a plug-in hybrid or a 100% battery electric. Doug asks, is the Clean Car for All program require that you pass smog check, or you must fill smog check, or that doesn't matter? We actually have someone who can answer that question. JJ Camarena, he's here from BackMed. JJ, do you know if the program requires that you have to pass a smog check?
Well, it doesn't really matter as long as the vehicle holds a clean title, and you are able to pass proof of operability. And operability meaning that you can demonstrate that the vehicle has been insured in the state of California for the past 2 years. The other manner, if you don't have insurance, the other way is to provide proof of 2 invoices, repair invoices, for 2 separate calendar years, the most recent. So for example, you can have one for 2023, 2024, or 2022, and calendar year 2023. So if you have taken the vehicle to get a, like, for example, an oil change, for example, or some kind of car maintenance, so you could demonstrate proof of that, the invoices for 2 calendar years, then it is that demonstrates proof of operability. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, JJ. I realized I was on mute. So Maynard asks, are any of other states available for these rebates and incentive programs? No. If you live in another state, maybe Arizona, Texas, they're all going to have maybe no incentive for EV drivers. But California is, mostly the most generous I've seen. I've gotten some consultees that come from Arizona or from the East Coast, and I'm doing research for them, and there's really no incentives like California has. So, request a consultation, and I will do my research to find you some incentives. But for the majority of those other states, there's really no incentive. Ariel asks if we will be posting these slides or recording anywhere. You will be getting them next week, and then we'll also post the recording on our YouTube. We'll include it in the follow-up email. So yeah, keep an eye on your inbox. Next week on Monday, I will send it out. Ann Watson asks, what is a non-plug-in hybrid? I think you mean a conventional hybrid. So if it's not a plug-in hybrid, it's going to be a conventional hybrid. And Clean Cars for All is the only program right now in California, in the Bay Area, that has an incentive for a conventional hybrid. They'll be able to give you $7,000 for a conventional hybrid. And in the beginning of the slide deck, I gave the definition of a plug-in hybrid versus a conventional hybrid. A plug-in hybrid, you still have to charge the battery, the electric battery, with an electricity source. But with a conventional hybrid, you don't have to worry about charging that battery. You just have to fill it up with gas. So it essentially still is a gas car, but it's a lot more efficient because it has a small electric motor in it. And you don't have to recharge it, just the gas motor, it just helps it run more efficient. So typically in the conventional hybrids, you get a little bit better gas mileage. But with the plug-in hybrid, you have the 300 miles of gas range typically, and then you'll be able to swap between those. If you want to use pure electricity on your drive, you'll be able to. for around 25 miles of EV range. Some plug-in hybrids go all the way up to 40 miles in electricity range. So that's the difference there. If we schedule a consultation, how much will it cost? It's totally free. Actera is a nonprofit, so we don't charge for any of our services. We help the community out as much as we can, and doing those free EV consultations are a way that we get to help people get into those EVs. So it's totally free. Ann Watson asks, what is the lifespan of a car battery? I've been seeing some contradictory things on that, because when people buy use an EV, they worry about how the person before them drove the car, or how they charge the car. So when you put, the foot to the pedal, you drive your EV very fast, that typically degrades the battery over a couple years. And then also, if you are a kind of person that is public charging all the time, that's like accepting electricity into the battery really fast, using those public chargers, the fast chargers. When you use those every time you charge your EV, it really hurts the battery. And so when you buy it brand new, it says it has a range of 250 miles or whatever the range is. You will be noticing that over the lifetime of the car, it's not really holding that much anymore because the battery is degrading. So if your car has 250 miles of range when it was brand new, maybe over 5 years that you own that car, it's only going to be charging up to 220. So you lost around 30 miles of the range. And I think something that is coming in the industry pretty soon is that the used EV dealerships, they're going to start giving a battery report to the buyers. I think that's like the main thing that's missing right now, so that the buyer can have the knowledge of how healthy is that battery. Because replacing an EV battery is not cheap. It's very expensive. It's like around 20,000, I've heard, all the way up to 20,000 to replace a battery. And it just depends what kind of car it is. But yeah, replacing a EV battery is not cheap. So the lifespan of the EV battery is meant for 200,000 miles or 10 years. But if you're driving a lot, and you're charging with the fast chargers, expect your EV range to drop a little bit. That's the best way I can explain it. Lynn asked, do you have an example for how much it costs to charge an electric vehicle? Example, 50-mile commute per day. I think I can let Lawrence answer this question. Lawrence, can you help answer this this question of how much you typically have to spend to charge your electric vehicle?
Sure. Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So it depends on where you live. The Chevy Bolt gets nearly 4 miles per kilowatt hour. And here in Palo Alto, we pay 17 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's about 4 cents a mile, 17 over 4. So you just have to ask how much are you paying for electricity? But 4 cents a mile beats the pants off any gas car I know. So when we charge at in PG&E territory at a level 2 charger at work, the car charges for 34 cents per kilowatt hour. And so that comes down to about 8 cents a mile for fuel costs, which is still really inexpensive. But it all depends on what you pay for electricity. If you're using fast chargers, you'd expect to pay about 45 cents per kilowatt hour. So any way you cut it, it is cheaper than gas.
Yeah, it'll definitely be cheaper than gas to fill up, if you call it fill up or to recharge. Sometimes when you charge in public chargers, if it's peak hours, it could be a couple dollars less than gas. But most of the savings come from charging at home, because of the lower price per kilowatt. Joel asks, what are the differences between plugging an electric vehicle into a 240-volt outlet, like for a dryer, versus plugging into a dedicated 240-volt EV charging station? Example, is the charging station faster even though it's the same voltage? I think if it's getting those 240 volts, it's going to be charging at the same speed. So it doesn't matter if it's from a dryer outlet or you're out in a public charging station that's 240 volt, it'll be charging at the same speed. And every EV can only accept electricity into the battery at a certain point. So some of those, like the Chevy Bolt, I believe, does not have really good fast charging compared to the Tesla Model 3. And so the Tesla Model 3 has an acceptance of the electricity at a faster rate. So you'll be charging faster in those fast chargers. But when you compare it to like a Nissan Leaf or a Chevy Bolt, using fast chargers, you're not accepting that electricity into the battery as fast. So some EVs vary on how fast they can charge.
Irvin, could I follow up on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the level 3 charging cars are all over the map. Bolts only charge at 55 kilowatts and some Teslas at 350, but you rarely do that. It's only for long trips. As far as level 2 charging, either at home or in the wild, the commercial chargers are good, have a 50 amp breaker and are good to at least 40 amps. Some have a 60 amp breaker and they're good to 48 amps, etc. But if you look at dryers, most of them are 30 amp, and then most electric ranges are 50 amp. So if you're charging at home on a dryer outlet, you're going to get 24 amps continuous. And the Bolt can take, so they'll be throttled a little bit on that dryer outlet and plug it in that same dryer outlet. It's going to go the same speed as the Bolt because it's the outlet that's throttling the speed, not the car. So it all depends on the outlet as far as home charging and the speed of the car. So if you have a range outlet, a 50 amp range outlet, and you plug your older Bolt into it, the Bolt maxes out at 32 amps and you got plenty of overhead, but the newer ones are 48 amp and the range outlet isn't big enough to run it at full speed, but you really don't need full speed if you're charging overnight, right? 25 miles an hour is fine. You don't really need 40 miles an hour.
Right. Lawrence, you typed in the chat a website that's like a service that is similar to a private sale, because one of the questions that Yifi asks is, in order to get those incentives, do you have to purchase the car from a dealership? And it's yes, you do have to go to a dealership, but maybe this resource that Lawrence included in the chat, keysavvy.com, can you explain a little bit about that? I have not heard of that.
Yeah, so I'm sure there are others, but it's the first one that I've researched. It's a brokerage service. So basically the seller, you find somebody who's interested in selling you their used car. So it's a private sale.
Lawrence, you're breaking up a bit. Can you repeat? Alrighty, I think we lost Lawrence. Bad connection. Jerry Ann asks, to get the PG&E rebate, do you have to purchase the used vehicle from a dealer? For example, I'm purchasing a used EV from a friend and not a dealership. Jerry, and yes, we have been talking about that a lot of
be
these
eligible for
incentives, you have to purchase it from a dealership. And maybe the resource that Lawrence was talking about, keysavvy.com, you will have to buy it from somewhere like that, where it's classified as a dealership, but it's really like a private sale. There's no way to get money from these incentives when you do a private sale. It's unfortunate.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so what I'm saying is what keysavvy.org does is it takes a private sale and turns it into 2 dealership sales. One to the dealership and then one from the dealership to the individual. And that second one qualifies for the $4,000 used federal rebate. So basically you find somebody who will sell you the car and then they register with KeySavvy and you register with KeySavvy. And basically KeySavvy buys the car from them and you buy the car from KeySavvy, and KeySavvy gives you the $4,000 discount because they get the money from the federal government. So it's a way to take a private sale that is a purchasing from a private party, not a normal dealership, not a business. You're buying it from an individual, and KeySavvy brokers the deal in a way that makes it qualify for the $4,000, and they do all the paperwork for you, just like the dealership would.
Great,
so
I think Jerry Ann
this
could use that.
totally expands. So you can buy your car from anyone so long as they're willing to register with them. And I think it's free to register. KeySavvy gets their money by taking a chunk of, I think, the $4,000. And I've read really good reviews on them. So it sounds like it's safe and it gets you your you wouldn't be able to get from a normal private sale.
Great. Thanks for that resource, Lawrence. I will do my research on that and maybe include it in the resources I give out to the follow-up, in the follow-up.
Yeah, it's a total game changer.
Yeah, sounds really good. Going to the next question from Jaw, he or she asks, are all car dealerships in California aware of these rebates / discounts, or do we have to let them know about it? Yeah, so I want to go back. Maybe some people missed the incentive portion, but let me go through the incentives one last time and talk about the process of that. So when you go to the dealership to receive your clean vehicle tax credit, this one is the most complicated one, because the dealership is going to have to do the IRS paperwork to be able to give you the $7,500 at the point of sale. And so I've heard some dealerships having difficulties with this in the beginning of the year, but I think that has all been ironed out. And a lot of the dealerships are getting familiar with the system. So that's going through. Going to the next program, which is the PG&E one. So the PG&E one, this one is a rebate. So the way a rebate works is you buy the thing first, and then they'll give you the money after. And so PG&E, as long as you have a VIN number of the EV that you bought, you have like a receipt of it, of the purchase, then you send the application to PG&E, and they will verify the sale. They'll look at the VIN number, make sure you have it in your possession, and then they'll be able to give you the money. So it's either $1,000 or $4,000 if you're income qualifying. With Peninsula Clean Energy, what they do is they can offer you an instant rebate or a discount at the dealership. As long as you go to a participating dealership that's through their program, you can get it as a discount from the dealership. Or they also, if you want to do it this way, you can get it as a rebate as well. So as long as you go to, again, a participating dealership from their program, you buy the EV, and then you can submit your application after saying, I bought an EV from one of your participating dealerships. Then you'll be able to get the $2,000 for a used EV. And then for Clean Cars for All, you have to apply before, because of the whole process that you have to do with with retiring your vehicle, and it has to go through the inspection that it still is drivable and everything. So this one is apply before you buy. And I think MCE, if you live in that territory over there, then it's also a apply before you buy, and you can also receive it as a discount at the point of sale from the dealership. So $3,500 if you buy brand new, or $2,000 if you buy used. And if you buy used, you have to do, I believe, a participating dealership, and you'll be able to receive that as a discount from the dealership at the point of sale. And I think that's the only way they do it. It's an instant rebate. That answers that question. I don't see any more questions in the chat. Does anyone want to come off mute, ask any last question? We have like 5 more minutes left. Yeah, if you guys are not, Ann Watson is saying she's not ready for a consultation right now, but if we can do it later. And if you're not in the process of looking to buy an EV, just keep in mind that we do free consultations. I can help you out whenever you're ready to go into that process. Yeah. Lawrence.
Yeah, so Urban, as of a couple of weeks ago, I was on a seminar, and it turns out that lots of dealers are not signed up with the federal government to broker the $7,500 or the $4,000 federal tax credit. So definitely check with the dealer before you plan to buy there, because you might make a trip for nothing. And in order to get the tax credit, even if you do it on your own in your taxes, you have to fill out paperwork, and the dealer has to fill out paperwork and kind of pre-certify your eligibility and register you with the government at the time of the assign them your tax credit and get it at the point of sale. They still have to file paperwork for you, or else you aren't eligible for the tax credit, even if you meet all the requirements. So check before you go. And like I say, as of a couple weeks ago, a good fraction of dealerships around the country were not signed up to be in the program.
Yeah, that's right. I've had some consultees go to Tesla, and they said, Tesla basically lied to her and said, we'll be able to give you the tax credit, sign here. She signed, and she didn't get the tax credit. And so the dealerships right now, they're kind of lying to the buyer in some cases. I saw it with that consultee. So before you sign anything, if you're buying a new electric vehicle and you want to get that tax credit, make sure that the dealership is, going through that system and doing the process that it has to be. Because if they promise you something and they're not really holding up to that, then you're not getting the tax credit. And so just be careful. What Lauren said, double check with the dealership that they are in the system, that they can promise that. But don't sign anything unless they can assure you of that. Lynn asks how to consider if an EV is my primary car when we have frequent power outages. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a concern of a lot of people, if they should make their primary car an EV. And if you maybe have that problem, I would recommend a plug-in hybrid, where you can still qualify for these incentives. And then if you don't have power, you can still go to a gas station, get gas if you need to. But if you want to be more like more climate friendly, then you would be driving, on the electric range as much as possible. So that's how a lot of people do it. Dave M asks that the Nissan Leaf does not qualify for the federal tax credit anymore. Do I know why? Yes, I think I know why. Because of the battery minerals. So it's part of the federal tax credit. The battery minerals has to come from a country with a free trade agreement with the US. And a lot of these companies are getting those minerals and the components from different countries, maybe like China. And so those type of EVs do not qualify. And last year I did see the Nissan Leaf on there. So they did, do like an inspection. The US government went through all of the companies, like, where are you getting your minerals from? And they did a investigation. Turns out they don't use the minerals from a country with a free trade agreement, so they got taken off the list. Lily asks, at the EV Ride and Drive in Sunnyvale, which electric vehicles will be available to drive? Is Roya still on the call? Maybe she left, but I think we have definitely, like, Tesla. Tesla is going to have some EVs to drive. We will be there. Actera will be there at those ride and drives with an EV Expo. And at the EV Expo, we'll have a F-150 Lightning at display, a Kia EV6 on display, maybe a Cybertruck. I'm in contact with one of the Tesla managers, and he might have access to a Cybertruck that we can do a static display, so you won't be able to test drive that. But I think the test drivable vehicles, you'll be able to see that on their website when you register for the event, and you kind of select which EV you want to test drive. Mia asked, is there a rebate list of dealers we can refer to? It all depends with each program. So like for Peninsula Clean Energy, they have a list of dealerships that are compliant with their program. MCE has a different list of dealerships. And so it really just depends which programs you qualify for. And then if you do the consultation with Actera, we can give you an action plan of the steps that you need to take. And we include on there the participating dealerships for all of those programs. And Sarah Rolland asks, my friend wants to sell me her Nissan Leaf. It's 5 years old. Would it still qualify? So since that's a private sale, it wouldn't qualify. But if you do the website that Lawrence recommended, then you'll be able to test drive it. Sorry, you'll be able to make it qualify under with the website. So if it has to be from a dealership, you have to buy the EV from a dealership. So if it's a private sale, it's not going to qualify, but apparently there is a way that you can make it a dealership sale. Alrighty, guys. I think no more questions, so I will end it there. If you guys have any more questions, email me. My email's on the screen. It's been on the screen for a while. urban.rivero@actera.org. Once again, I invite you guys to Promise to the Planet. We're going to have an EV Expo there. Some great speakers. Without further ado, I will bid you guys a good night. And hope you guys enjoyed tonight's event. Had lots of good questions. But thank you. Have a good night.